Hey there, welcome to the Girl Go Global podcast, where faith and works are empowered. With every episode, we're embracing our multi-layered lives with faith, know-how, and grit. I'm your host, Dr. Jasmine, and I'm ready to go global with you. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Girl Go Global podcast, where faith and works are empowered. I'm Dr. Jasmine, your host, and I'm so excited that you decided to join me today. I certainly hope you've been enjoying the content. We've been consistently bringing you value, y'all. So I hope that you are seeing the value. How about that? So today, I'm so excited to have the Black Directory sponsor this episode. The Black Directory is the largest Black business directory in the world. So if you are looking to find Black businesses in the UK, in the United States, and Canada, even in Africa, Google www.blackdirectory.com. But today, I'm so excited to have with me from the DMV, y'all, Miss Tifany Murphy. She is an entrepreneur, wife, and mother of four. For nearly 20 years, she has used her expertise and business administration to support Fortune 500 companies and small business owners. She is the owner of Creative Hang Suites, a multi-use rental space in the DMV that gives entrepreneurs a place to work, meet, collab, and grow their brands. I'm so excited to have with me Tifany, and I'm so excited that I'm having this conversation with her, particularly because I love her IG. She is, I would say, one of the queens of reels, y'all. She is dropping content. If you don't know how to do your reels and you're looking to expand your content, check her out. I'm her student from afar. I still haven't mastered it, but I love it. I love the colors. I love the branding, all of it. So I'm so also excited to have this conversation with her because of her creative space. I'm hoping to have a great conversation around her space, and I'm trying to find opportunities to even rent her space. I should have rented it to have this conversation, but I did not think of it in advance, but I'm sure there'll be other opportunities because I am in the DMV and looking to host events, have meetings with my business clients, all of that. But today I'm talking to Miss Tifany Murphy. Tifany, would you please introduce yourself to the Girl Global community?
Thank you so much, Jasmine. So as she said, my name is Tifany Murphy, and she pretty much already ran it down. I am the creator of Creative Hang Suite, which is a multi-use studio located in the DMV. We give entrepreneurs the space that they need to be in the headspace of ownership. So you get to go into the space, invest in your business, and not have to worry about the overhead that usually comes with stepping out there and trying to do everything on your own. I really am building the Creative Hang Suite to be a resource hub for entrepreneurs in the DMV area and hoping to expand from there. So Jasmine already hit all the points, but I'm Tifany and I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for accepting my invitation. Like I said, I have been low-key stalking your IG. I think I saw you on another platform and I said, oh, let me check this out.
Okay.
And I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is creative. Let me look at it some more. And so I'm just kind of scrolling. I went on your website. I saw how to book and I'm like, dang, I need to figure out what kind of event. Do I have any in-person meetings I need to have? Like, I want to be in this space because it's giving chic. It's giving creative. It's giving influencer. It's giving, a space that I want to be creative in. So you have the absolute perfect name for this space. Ladies, if you're in the DMV, or if you need to come to the DMV to have events and you're looking for a space to rent, you ain't gotta go on Airbnb. You ain't gotta rent a hotel room. You can look at Tifany's space to find opportunities to rent your space, because I am a witness to looking for a space to produce content in the DMV. There are lots of other spaces, but this is one of the ones that gives me girl vibes. This gives me the vibe that I'm generally looking for, and not having to bring a bunch of props to set up my space. So I'm bigging it up, even though I've never been there, because like I said, her reels are very, very engaging and it shows you what you can do with the space. So, Tifany, I'm not stealing your thunder. I want you to tell me more about yourself. I want you to dig into how you got started. You've been serving Fortune 500 companies. I want to learn more about that. So, just tell me more about yourself, how you got into business administration, and how did that springboard you into basically owning an event or meeting location?
It really goes to, first of all, the premise of your overall podcast, which is being faith-led and faith-based. And when you start to look back in your past and you see like these clues that were left to put you in push you in the direction that you're currently in now, to me, it's kind of amazing when you just sit back in retrospect and see how things come about. Because I wasn't someone that necessarily grew up with entrepreneurship. I was, I never knew anything about being a business owner, owning a business, so on and so forth. But each job that I've had or each career that I've been in, I've always, through consistency, just either built out different systems or changed the way that the business moved, because I'm one of those people that's always thinking there has to be a better way to do this. And so from me just having that type of mindset and also having that independent streak where, unfortunately I grew up where I couldn't really rely on a lot of people but myself, it kind of pushed me in the area where I had to figure out and learn how to do things on my own. And so with those two things together, I think it set me up for entrepreneurship. And I noticed throughout my career, I would go into these spaces, like for instance, I was in the military as well. I was in the Air Force. And when I started off as a cop in the Air Force, and I'm supposed to be on the flight line, or I'm supposed to be at the in the front, letting people in, so on and so forth. And I end up on the desk by happenstance, but they kept me there because of the way that I organized one of their systems regarding police reports. And so it's like every area that I've been in, I started to see that I wouldn't necessarily call it organization. I would label it more as consistency, having that consistency to figure out the solution to a problem. And by doing that, that allowed me to see that I can also be an entrepreneur as well, because I've always been a creative person. I've done graphic design, websites. I've had an online radio show back when Blog Talk Radio was popping. I've had book clubs. I've always been in this space where I'm dealing with other entrepreneurs, and it just led me into this space that I'm in now. So it's a long story if I was to put it all together, but to shorten it up, I would just say that understanding where my strengths was at and then being able to use those and seeing how I can apply those to help other people is how I ended up with the Creative Hang Suite. Because I've always had a passion to want to help entrepreneurs. It's something about being able to take nothing and turning into something that always fascinated me. And it could be because that's just how my life has been, being able to take the bare minimum that's been given to me and turn it into something spectacular. And so working with entrepreneurs and seeing the growth and the transition that they make with the right assistance, it's just always been a fascination of mine. So with the Creative Hang Suite, which is crazy when you think about the story, because before the Creative Hang Suite, I was doing meal prep. So the two don't connect at all. The two don't connect at all. But if you was to go on Instagram right now and you typed in the Creative Hang Suite, my page that I started, I want to say in 2012, it's still up there, because the name and the idea for the Creative Hang Suite was always there, but it just wasn't the right time. I've always been led to want to just help entrepreneurs, but there was just so much going on in my life at that time that I wasn't able to continue. I wasn't, you start something and you're not able to see it through because it just wasn't the right time. It was still things that I needed to go through and grow through in order to get where I am today. So it was put on the back burner, but I ended up right where I was supposed to be, which was always being able to help entrepreneurs grow their business. And like I said, it's a long, it's a long, very detailed story. But I'm here now, and I'm thankful that I am in the position to be able to come across so many different entrepreneurs who are pursuing the dreams that they have and the calling that they have on their life with their business, because I really feel like entrepreneurship is that bridge that helps lead people to the purpose that they have for their overall life. We have these gifts and talents on the inside of us that I feel like entrepreneurship allows us to explore and develop, and it sets us up for what we should be doing, long term for our life overall. So I love entrepreneurship. I love the creative hang suite because it allows me to, I'm one of those people, like, if it's, I want to know how to do everything, but I know I can't best serve myself or others trying to do everything. So having these different creatives come into the space, or being able to see like what they're doing on their Instagram and social media in general, it kind of satisfies me in a sense, like that's something that I'm doing as well. I get to see what this person is doing. And when they utilize my services, it's like I'm being able to do the same thing that they're doing without me having to dive 100% into it and just racking up all this like taking in everything when I should be focusing on one particular area. So it kind of allows me to touch on these different things that I may have interest in, but I don't have to commit to it 100% because I don't want to stretch myself too thin.
Got you. Got you. So, I heard you say that you used to do meal prep. So funny. But you transitioned. So when exactly did you transition into this idea to hold own a multi-use rental space? What year or how long have you owned it?
So the Creative Hang Suite started a year ago, almost a year ago. Well, just over a year ago in August. We hit our official year this August. And before that, I was doing meal prep for nearly 2.5 years. And the way that I got into the meal prep was being on Instagram, doing the most. I was heavy, I was heavy into fitness during that time. And I was kind of rebelling against the idea of having to eat the same foods over and over again, plain chicken, broccoli, rice, the same stuff that you see when they say you need to do this and that to lose weight. And so I would make these different meals and post them on my Instagram page, but harmlessly. I was not trying to start a business or think that it would turn into anything. And people kept asking me, when are you going to when are you going to start a cookbook, or when are you going to start selling these meals? And one of the people that I trained with, she was like, you need to stop playing, because I'll order these meals. And so I'm thinking I'm from New Jersey. She from New York. We going back and forth, and I'm trying to call her bluff. And she's like, I have my ready. I'll have my money ready on Friday. And mind you, it was a week before. I'll have my money on Friday to get my meals. And when she said that, I literally went and created a website, registered the
Wow.
business. I made I made some graphics for my Instagram page just to get that started. Like, I secured that, and I made a menu. I made her meals, and that first week I had 20 orders
Wow.
for 10 meal pack. Yeah, and it literally took off from there. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is apparently what I should be doing. Is a meal prep, because it really did so well. But then the further I got into doing it, the more and more I was getting away from being the mother that I wanted to be, being the wife that I wanted to be, because it was so, and the person that I wanted to be for myself, because it was so time consuming and so draining. And it got to a point where I just hated the business overall. And when I purposely like would try to sabotage it, it just kept growing. And people would say, later on, like, why would you give up a business that was successful? Because it was very successful straight out the gate. The business did well, and eventually I ended up selling that business, thankfully. That just happened to come about. But I just got to a place where I was like, this is not what I want to do. This is taking me away from the overall purpose that I feel is on my life, to help entrepreneurs. And so one day I was tired. I was tired and I woke up. I got dressed, which is something that I didn't do for almost nearly 2.5 years because I was always in the kitchen or going shopping or packing meals or, I got dressed, I did my hair, I did my makeup, and I got on Instagram and told everybody that I was closing the business. And it was that pivotal moment that led me into, like, I always feel like I should be doing something, and not in a negative way, like I can't sit still or, I'm not valuable if I'm not doing anything. But I just feel like whatever is on the inside of me is not supposed to just sit idle. It's supposed to be for the use of someone else. So if I am sitting idle and not working it, then I'm not helping someone get to where they need to be, because I feel like it's a bridge type of deal. You're connected to people for a reason, no matter no matter the role that you play in that person's life. So after I had closed the business down, the meal prep business, I went back to the idea that I had for the Creative Hang Suite, which originally was going to be a blog. Back when blogs was popping. And I just was going similar to what you're doing, interviewing different entrepreneurs, just so I could get to know them. It was really on a selfish type of basis, because I just wanted to learn more about what people were doing and the type of businesses that they had. And after I closed the meal prep business, I was like, I'm a creative. I have this name. I have this idea where I want to serve other entrepreneurs, but I don't necessarily want to keep holding my time hostage, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted to build a business that aligned with the overall vision for my life, which was to be a part of it.
How about that? That's good.
So it was like, what can I do to, still honor the gifts and talents that's on the inside of me, still be able to provide support to entrepreneurs, because that was always the overall goal from starting business to begin with. What could I do? And then I took, if backtrack a little bit, I ended up taking a brand rehab class, thinking that it was going to be to help me, make my meal prep business better, with Ronnie Brown.
Oh,
And
shout out to Ronnie Brown. I've been thinking about doing her brand rehab.
It's amazing. It's the brand rehab is amazing, because it wasn't so much that the coursework that I did in her program. It was being able to have her really dissect the type of person that I was, the type of entrepreneur, business owner that I am. And she just let me know out the gate, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. You're a builder. The reason why I can do all these different businesses that I've had and be successful is because I have consistency. It's because I built systems. It's because I have processes. So by default, those things are going to do well. And I'm just looking at it like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do because it's doing well, versus it's just going to do well anyway because of the time and the effort that I'm putting into it. So once I took her brand rehab a year into my meal prep, and I set on the idea of moving into a different direction for another year. And then that's when I just woke up and just deaded everything and was like, this isn't it. And then now we're with the Creative Hang Suite, where it allows me to be able to serve me and the people who I want to support, which are other entrepreneurs. And it just came about by finally making the decision to choose myself, and also to understand that you have to understand the vision for your life, which I feel you have to understand the vision for your life, and then build a business that complements that. Because there's so many things that we can do, especially as talented women and women who are driven and, have that independent streak. I feel like whatever we put our hands to do, we can do it. But how do you make sure that it's serving the purpose that you have within yourself? It's hard to do that blindly. You just, a lot of us are picking up these, we start off as side hustles or interests that we have, and we take them to the next level, but it could be something that clearly does not align with your overall vision for your life. And to me, that starts to bring in discord and all these issues that you'll have within your life trying to maintain a business that just doesn't fit.
For
And
sure.
yeah, so I just wanted to be more purposeful with my time, more purposeful with my gifts. I wanted to um, just make sure, that I was serving myself well first before I could give to other people. And so that's how the creative hang suite is like. It allows me to still provide that support to entrepreneurs. It still allows me to use my creativity that I have by way of the reels that I make or social media that I like to use for that aspect. And then I still get to serve my family as well.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. That I love that. You said you wanted to be a part of your life. How about that? That's
yes,
so dope.
yes.
That's so dope. But first, before we talk about that balance, that work-life balance that you achieved now with this new business venture, I want to talk more about the suite that you have. You say it's a place to work, meet, and collaborate. Tell us more about your process for building that, what that looks like if a client comes in to your facility. Give us a little bit more about this space and how it can be used.
Okay, so the Creative Hang Suite is a private use studio, and I designed it to be that way because I wanted entrepreneurs who come in there to just feel comfortable. I could have went the co-working route, but I just felt with everything that's going on in the world, it made sense to just keep it as a private use studio. And also, you have people coming in with their photographer. They may have some team members. They may be collabing with another, one of their trusted friends or business besties. So I want them to feel comfortable in that space and know that it is strictly for them when they come in there. So when you book the Creative Hang Suite, first of all, it's private use. And most people come in there either for brand shoots or they're coming in to create content. Now we've had other things in there as well. I've had a baby shower in there. I've had a
Oh, wow.
graduation, intimate gatherings like that. And I kind of played with the idea of going that route, of having more of those social type of events, but I wanted to bring it back in to where it focused on the entrepreneur and the journey that they go through. So when you come in, the space is completely yours. There's 4 different seating arrangements there to just give you different spaces and ideas where you can create content for your social media, your website, anywhere where you need photography or you want to come in and do a workshop. I've had someone do an online workshop. She was a host for this national like tech summit. So she did that in there. She streamed from there. I had someone do create their first online course in there. It's basically open to how you would like to use the space, but it's set up to where you can invest in your brand without having to have that extra coin that would come with you trying to secure your own space. Because when I was coming up as an entrepreneur, I would have these ideas that I wanted to test. Because sometimes you have these ideas and you really need to vet them out to see if it's something that you want to move forward in. But sometimes in order to do that, you have to, well, I need an office space. I need this, I need that. And next thing you know, you're over your head in expenses for an idea that you don't even want to do anymore. So I like to also highlight that the space is also used for that. Like we had a photographer come in last week. He did a podcast in there. He's going to do another test podcast. But as we're going through and talking about like the setup and the tech and the equipment that's involved, it might not be a financially feasible option for him, even though it's something that he's very interested in. He's good at it. Being able to come to the space has shown him it just might not be a good financial move for him because it's going to take a while to recoup the investment that he puts into being able to do it. So the Creative Hang Suite can also be used in that manner for you to come in and just try out some new ideas. A pop-up shop, like there's people who have product-based businesses, instead of going and getting your own storefront, you can rent out the suite for the weekend and have your people show up there. Or maybe you're running a holiday special and you want people to be able to come pick up from you in person. Like there's there's so many different ways that you can use the Creative Hang Suite to build your business. And then also for what I like to call the CEO day. Sometimes we just need that space away from the house, away from Starbucks, away from those type of places where we can just sit in solitude and really plan out what we want to do for our business. You know what I mean? So you can utilize the space that way as well. So it, like I said, multi-use. It has a lot of uses for the suite. It really depends on what stage you are in your, in your entrepreneurial journey. I've had people come in and do their VIP days there. They have their guests fly in from out of town, and they'll hold the day session there in the suite. So it's so many different ideas, but I have it set up to where I feel like it can help entrepreneurs on each journey that they're in. When you're the solopreneur, if you're starting to build a team, I've had real estate agents come in with their team and have their meetings for the quarter. They've had their holiday parties. It's just it's there for whatever it is that you need it for pertaining to your business.
That is so dope. I love that. And you've just given me some ideas, because I was like,
how can I use it?
Yes,
What can I do
because
in there?
it's so, the aesthetics are so inviting.
Thank you
I was
so
just
much.
really trying to figure out, what can I
What
do?
can I do?
Like, literally this morning, I was like, girl, you could have rented this space to interview her for this podcast. Like, what are you doing?
We'll have to do another one. You'd welcome
for
to come
sure.
in. Yeah.
For sure. But I do have some things that I want to do next year. So I was like, okay, bet. I'm gonna check it out, see if it's available on the day that I might want to set up something.
Yes, come through, pull up on me.
For sure. So I want to learn a little bit more about your faith. What gives you the faith to step out and say, hey, I'm gonna get a whole space, decorate it, and I'm gonna build it and see if they'll come? Like, prior, you were doing food prep. You weren't necessarily in this location, event, rental space. It's a type of real estate, if you will, a form of real estate. So what made you say, hey, I'm going to close down my meal prep business, lose all of my clients, and start in a whole new lane? What gave you that faith?
I think it's just knowing, first of all, knowing that I have the protection of God, meaning that I feel like the ideas that I have are a direct result of Him. So if it's, I've never not had confidence that I can make anything work. That's my whole thing. Like, I'm a builder, so I know for a fact that I can take anything and turn it into something. It was just a matter of having that confidence on closing down this, what is perceived as a successful business, and moving into this different area. So just understanding, like, my purpose overall. If my purpose is to support entrepreneurs, then if I'm doing something, the Creative Hang Suite, which I feel meets that need, then how can I not be, how can I be wrong in what it is that I'm doing? And I also look at things like, it's faith, right? You put your faith into these areas, but you have to work it. And I'm a work, you know what I mean? I'm a work. It might even be to my detriment at some point, like the meal prep, but I always feel like I'm going to be steered in the right direction because I am covered by God, and that He's already laid out this path for me. I just have to get on the right street and travel that. So it's already there. I already know that there's this endpoint for me. I just have to make sure that I'm traveling on the right road to get there. And there's many ways to get to one destination. So even if the meal prep was one road that I took, and then I was able to make this detour and get to where I need to be now, because it's still leading me to that destination that's already predetermined for me.
Oh, that's so good.
So I just feel like while I will make mistakes, because that's just a part of life, that's a part of growing, part of entrepreneurship, I've never not believed that I'm going to end up where I need to be. It's just a matter of how quickly you can adapt and make the changes that's required for you to get on that correct road and get down, head down that path to get where you need to be. So I think that's one of the reasons why um, I felt confident to be able to just say, and I ain't even I'm gonna keep it real. It took a year for me to get rid of a business that I didn't want. It took me a year. My mindset, which again, like I said, there's many ways to get to this one endpoint. I was headed down this one path that could be viewed as being wrong. You're doing meal prep. Why? But it all led to where I am right now. So it's just a matter of, again, being able to understand what it is that you're doing, your overall purpose, which is why you need to know what your overall vision is for your life. Because if I didn't have one, if I didn't sit down and really write out what it is that I wanted for my life, and then the business that I had, and saw how them two did not work well together, I could have continued traveling down that road and taken myself further away from that endpoint that's still sitting there for me. The endpoint is still sitting there. You can go completely the opposite way. The endpoint is still going to be sitting there. You just have to know when to make those decisions, whether they're tough. It may take you a while to do it, for you to get yourself back on track. And that's what I felt the Creative Hang Suite was, a way for me to get back on track. Because I tried to do something out of the will that I feel that was set for me. And I was still trying to make it work because it logically did not make sense to let go of a 6-figure business in less than, we hit 6 figures with the meal prep in less than a year, but I wasn't able to enjoy anything. I wasn't able to enjoy my family. I wasn't able to enjoy the success of the business because it just required so much of me. So I had to, again, like, bring things back to remembrance. What is it that you're doing this for? You want to be an entrepreneur, or you have this entrepreneurial mindset because you want to create freedom and flexibility for you and your family. Is that what you're doing with the meal prep? No. So now what do? You have to let it go, and then eventually have get your mind on the same page, because it took a while. It took a year, honestly, to come to that realization, like, I got to just let it go. But I always know that there's this endpoint waiting for me. So while it may take me a little while to get back on the right track, or I may be a little stubborn in releasing certain things, or I just got to try this one more thing before, I do A, B, C, and D, I still believe that that endpoint is waiting for me and that I'll get there. And so that's why I was able to say, just wake up that one day and was like, I'm done. I mean, my client base was, I focus on retention no matter what type of business that I have. And my retention rate for meal prep was extremely high. I had the same people, like people literally ordering meal prep for a year. And that's unheard of, because people just don't do that. So it let me know that the skills and the talents that I use to build that business, I could do that with anything. I just need to make sure that it's something that's going to serve me. And then once I came to that realization, I was able to let it go. And it wasn't like it was like a burden every time I would think about it. Oh, what about my clients? What about this? What are people going to think? They see that I'm doing well, or say that I'm doing well, and now all of a sudden I'm just closed. All of these things are going around in my head. And then it's just like, but if you did it with this, you could do it for, imagine if you do it for what you're supposed to be doing it for.
Oh, that's so good. Oh my goodness. You just raising my attention, or just made me recall, like, there are so many gifts and talents that the Lord gives us, right? And just because we're good at it does not mean that's that thing that we should be pursuing. Does not
Exactly.
mean that it's a part of our purpose. I'm good at a lot of stuff, right?
Right.
I know how to do a lot of things. I know how to paint. I know how to,
Like, so should I be a
decorate,
painter?
or at least I think I know how to decorate a little bit. I know how to put
Right.
together clothes and, my little style, that don't mean I'm supposed to be a stylist.
Yeah,
Just
that's what I'm
because
saying.
I like to cook too. That don't mean I'm supposed to go to school to be a chef, or, start my
Exactly.
meal prep business. So I
Exactly.
love, love, love that you have taken back your power from people, from
Yeah.
yourself, and to
Yep.
like align yourself with the will of God in ways that say, okay, what's my purpose? Let me
Right.
align myself with my purpose, and let me also bring in that thing, that creativity that
Mm-hmm.
God has blessed me with, in order to I guess reach back or lean in
Mm-hmm.
to my purpose in ways that serve me, that and allow me to serve my family, and allow me to align with the Lord. I love, love, love the power that you have stepped into in order to live your courageous life. Oh
Yes.
my goodness, I love it. In particular, I also love that you have decided to take on a life that allows you to have that work-life balance, that
Mm-hmm.
allows you to be a part of your life, as you say. I love that too. And so, I just want to talk a little bit about that before we wrap up today. This conversation has been so good. I cannot wait to visit your space.
Yes.
But first, tell me about that work-life balance. When did you realize, like, hey, this is not serving me? You have 4 children, you are married. Like, what made you wake up and say, you know what, I'm not being a part of my family's life?
Man, when I was doing that meal prep, I didn't have time for nobody. That included my husband. I have 4 children, but 3 of them are adults. They're all
Mm,
over the age of 18, and now I have my little one. She's 5. So you're talking about 2, 3 years ago. She's 2, 3, and I'm slowly seeing myself withdraw from being a mother, being a wife, because I was so overwhelmed with the demands of a business that didn't serve me. And just sitting back, it started with the class. The class, I felt like, was the catalyst for everything, because you know how we kind of do things like automatically on autopilot. It's day in and day out the same thing, and you get accustomed to what you're in, even if
mm,
it's something that you shouldn't be in. And it took that class that I took, the rehab class, for me to really have someone come in from the outside and be like, this is not even what you're supposed to be doing. Even though I knew I was not supposed to be doing it, I still needed somebody to tell me that outside of my family, because I felt like if I didn't have that pivotal moment, I'm not saying I would still be doing it, but I feel like I would have sacrificed so much in the process,
mm,
even more than I did during that time. And so seeing how me being withdrawn from my family, me not taking care of myself, there's no self-care at all. There was no time to do anything. I eventually pulled my husband in to help me with the business, and we started to have like a working relationship versus a relationship,
mm,
a husband-wife relationship. Just sitting back and thinking about all of that I was basically sacrificing in order to have this business to be viewed as successful. I just had to cut it. Like it didn't make sense to continue to move forward with that, knowing what I was going to lose in the process if I did. And
mm,
so that's why that day I just woke up and I stopped it, because I had basically sucked everybody into this vortex that I created, of operating in this business that wasn't for me. And it was taking away from everyone around me, including myself. It wasn't just affecting me. And seeing that, it was hurtful, to know that I initially became an entrepreneur because I wanted to have that freedom and flexibility, um, and to support my family, and I was doing everything opposite of that. And so it just really took me having like that talk to myself, just sitting there and thinking, like, how much is this worth to you? Is it
mm,
worth you not having this time with your children, especially my younger one? Is it worth you basically probably leading to divorce with your husband, because now everything he does is annoying because I'm so overwhelmed, and if you're not helping me in this business, then I don't need you. It's
mm,
on that type of thing. And it was just like, I'm only thinking this way because I'm trying to make something work that shouldn't work.
mm.
It just
That's so
shouldn't.
good.
Yeah, some things you just have to lay down before you can pick something else up. But I was still trying to carry the thing. And me trying to carry that, I'm dropping the ball everywhere else because it was
Mm.
literally demanding literally everything from me. And you know how business is. Business doesn't care about your emotions, your feelings. Your business doesn't care about your family. You have to be the one to put those safeguards in place to ensure that this business is providing what you need in order for you to have this success in your family. Because that's ultimately what I wanted at the end of the day, was a successful family. But how am I having a successful family and I don't even want to look at my husband's face because he,
Mm.
he getting on my nerves, but he getting on my nerves because I'm overwhelmed. And then I'm not spending time with my kids because I'm in the kitchen, or now I have to go deliver these meals because I lost my driver. So it's just like all these things that's just sucking and taking my time away, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And it's so I had to sit down. You like literally have to sit down and write out what it is that you want and what it is that you currently have. How
Mm.
are they supporting each other? Because if they're not, then something has to change. And that's why I was able to just say, I can't do it anymore. Work-life balance is really important to me, because what's the point of having these businesses, or what's the point of having these gifts and talents that you have if you can't enjoy anything, if I'm just working and I'm not
Yeah.
able to, provide that support that I want for my family, or even get in return, because they wasn't fooling with me outside of the, outside of whatever task I might need them to do for the meal prep business at the time. It's like we were all in our own corners because we didn't want to deal with each other, because it was too stressful. It was too much tension. Everyone was walking on eggshells because everything that I'm thinking about is driven by the needs of this business that I had no business doing.
Oh,
So,
wow. That's been so good. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important. One of the things that I can appreciate about my husband as a business owner, we're both business owners, but he's a
mm-hmm.
full-time entrepreneur, and he does take that time with our family
Yeah.
to over the weekend, or in the evening, even if it's late,
Yeah.
try to at least have dinner together and do different things together. But he
Right.
definitely gets his rest in. But I do know that when you're building a business, there's something business, like you said, it's 24 hours. It doesn't sleep. Your clients, sometimes they don't have that boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely, excuse me, I definitely get it, how you can get sucked into, as you say, a vortex,
Yeah.
into this business vortex. But you do have to be strategic, because at the end of the day, when you look back, if COVID taught us nothing else, we need to stick close to those people and things that give us the most value, give us the most
Yes.
balance and boundaries in our lives, because life is certainly short.
Yes, exactly. And it's
So
like that's what we're
Tifany,
doing it for.
if someone wants to get into your industry, as far as multi-use space, or just if you have any business advice, it sounds like you have a wealth of knowledge in the business world, you know what I mean? What strategies, tips, and tools would you share today for business owners who may be seeking to get into your industry or seeking to start their own businesses? Do you have a few tips, tools, or strategies to share?
Yeah, I think that they should, one, just really map out what their steps are going to be, because once you start entering into the realm where you sign a lease, um you're entering into a whole new territory. And I don't feel that there are many businesses that require you to have your own space. But if you wanted to get into an area like rentals, like how I am in with the studio space, I think you really need to write out, first of all, what is going to be required of you. So you're not just paying the lease, whatever that is. Say it's $1,000. You're not just paying the amount for the space. You're paying for everything else, all your subscriptions that you need to run the business, the lock that you need for the door. Like my lock costs $2,000.
Mm.
And it's like certain things that you want to have to be part of the suite to provide the convenience to your guests that are coming in. So you need to really like write down what is it that you need, because it's not just going to be the space. You
Mm.
need to have money set aside, like I said, for subscriptions, for equipment, for your furniture. How are you going to decorate the space? And then what I've tell people when they do ask me on the side, like everything in the Creative Hang Suite, I got that off of Facebook Marketplace. Nothing in there is brand new, but I did that on purpose because, for one, I wasn't sure if the idea was going to necessarily take off. And then why am I going to invest all this money into the furniture and equipment when people break stuff? They move stuff around, like my mirror got broken, my desk it's just certain things that these things are going to end up getting damaged, or you may want to switch out your furniture to create different themes. So why go spend $5,000 on a white chair and then someone's going to have their makeup on it after they're done with their
You
session?
preaching.
You know, you know what I'm saying? So,
You preaching right now, because people will mess up your
they will
stuff.
mess up your stuff, and it's like you tell them don't move this, they move it anyway. You tell them to put something back, and you go back in there. Just some of the stuff, and overall, the guests inside the suite have been great. But it's like little things that have been damaged because of misuse or whatever. So you want to take all of that into consideration. You also want to take in consideration the area that you're in, because you may, let's say you can only afford to get an office space that's $600. 9 times out of 10, that's probably not even going to be 200 square feet of space. What are they really going to do inside of there? Nothing. I mean, I'm not going to say nothing, but you have to think about the uses that you want to be able to offer for the space, because some stuff just doesn't make sense. Like me having large parties in the space, no, because I already know that they're going to tear everything up in there. And then when they tear that up, how am I going to be able to serve my other guests that want to come in? So there's like, you have to decide on the type of events that you would like to have in a space. And I would recommend, if you can find a shared space, meaning maybe someone has a large office space and they'll let you rent out maybe the front half of the office. So that way you don't have to take on the burden of the entire space yourself. And also to get into the areas that you want to be in, because I see people putting some of these places in just locations that I don't think people would necessarily go to, but it might be cheaper to lease something over there, if that makes sense. So it's like, if people really don't travel to that area to do something to this extent, then you're just wasting your money by having this space. You know what I mean? Because people aren't coming to the area anyway. And also, if you can create another business for yourself, for you to be able to utilize that space, because I go in there and I run my business out of the Creative Hang Suite as well. So I'm able to have money come in from this particular stream because of what I'm doing on this side. And then I have the rentals of those people that are coming in. So maybe trying to figure out a way that you can create multiple streams of income for having that space. That doesn't necessarily mean creating multiple events in the space, because I see people doing like, I'm gonna have a space party and I'm gonna have this and a poetry night. I'm not saying people don't really come to that stuff, but they're not coming to that stuff on a consistent basis that's going to allow you to make the money that you need to pay this lease. So you really need to think about the overall purpose for the space. And then, in all honesty, do you need it right now? Because it's good. Like, being an entrepreneur, I've always wanted my own space, and I've had 3 so far. This is my 3rd one. But those first 2 that I had killed me, because I didn't need the space. I just wanted it.
Okay.
I just wanted to have it. I want to have come to my space. No, I just wanted to have my own area to work in. And I didn't need it at the time. It wasn't even financially feasible, but I did it anyway, just off of the strength that I just wanted to have it. And sometimes the real conversation is, do you need this right now? You might not. Yeah, you might not need it. Maybe you can help. Maybe you can, like someone like me, you can, one of the guests may want to rent out the space for a couple of months. So instead of you being tied to a lease for 5 years, maybe you can rent out a space for a couple of months working with someone else to be able to run your idea in there, as opposed to taking on, what I'm saying, like a full-fledged contract. Because once you get into that game, it's a different game, and they don't care about nothing but you making sure you make your payment on time.
How about that?
So just really, overall, you just really want to properly plan out as best you can, because there's always things that happen in business, but as best as you can to see if it's a financially feasible move. And I don't mean where you can sustain being able to manage this building in the event that you don't have enough money coming in for a certain time period. And how much money do you need to make to break even? And then how much money do you need to make to then have a profit and then be able to live off of that? It's like so many different layers to it. You just want to make sure that you're as prepared as possible.
That's so good. You've shared so much information, not just only for those who are seeking to get in your industry, but also for business owners. I mean, I can't speak to the notion enough that we need to start these businesses below our means, right?
Yes.
Don't just go out and get a loan for all this furniture and all
No.
this other stuff. You know that you have to work smarter and not harder. And
Yes.
what it sounds like you did, okay, let me test this out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Let me see if this works. Let me not invest too much
Yes.
until I see it start to thrive and pick up and be something that's going to be of value for me in the long haul. That's
Yes.
so good. Oh my goodness. Not only are you dropping gems for the business owners, but you're dropping gems for the women, for girls, anybody who's listening who say, I want to live in purpose. I want to live in vision. I want to step into my power. I'm loving this conversation. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you about this idea about this whole purpose driven. You have talked a lot today about being in God's will, living in purpose, living in vision, living the full manifestation of your life in ways that serve you and your family and your relationship with God. So I want to talk about really quickly, when did you realize what your purpose was? And then how are you helping others, in particular women, find their purpose?
I think I knew what my purpose was. I mean, earlier on in my career, in my journey as an entrepreneur, I felt like I knew then, like when the very first thing that I did was I made my own online magazine, because I just wanted to have a magazine so bad. I was into hip hop really heavy back then. And I was also a freelance journalist. So I wanted to have an online magazine, and I created that. But the online magazine turned into something called Faith Filled Stilettos. So it was basically, again, like something else that was just helping me serve women in the capacity that they're in, which I feel like a lot of us are lost on the purpose that we have for our life, because as you mentioned earlier, there's so many things that we're good at. I think we're just good at it by default because we're put in these positions where we have to be. If we're not good at these things, we can't get what we want. And so being able to really like determine what is my overall purpose, I think there's clues that are left along the way. And when I look back in my life, I feel like that purpose was always there, but I just had to identify these choices that I made along the way to see if I'm going in the right direction. Because you can easily, get lost trying to figure out what your purpose is. Other people come in, they're telling you this and that, and you can get lost. So I feel like being purposeful. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought, but being purposeful is something that I talk about often, because I feel like you do a disservice to yourself and those that are connected to you if you don't identify what your purpose is. And having to create, fast forward now where I have the creative hang suite, even though 99% of the people that come in the suite, I don't get to meet them in person. I don't necessarily get to have full-fledged conversations with them. They're booking a service and, they get to know me through my social media channels. But I feel like because I'm in my purpose, is connected them to theirs. There's these steps that we have to take in order to get where we need to be. And certain people have to be in position in order for you to take theirs. So I always say that your purpose isn't about you. Your purpose is about the person that's connected to you. But if if you're not trying to identify what it is or really hone in on what your overall purpose is for your life, you're doing a disservice to that person that's waiting on you so they can connect to theirs. So that's always in the back of my mind, because it's like, it's never been about me. Like I've always been in a helper capacity. And it's like, well, how can you, you know, play the background and be behind the scenes and all this other stuff? It's because I know that this is bigger than me. It's not everything that I have with on the inside of me. Yes, I'm going to benefit from it, but it's really to help someone else. And that's what just drives me to be able to work with other women in particular, because I feel like we lose that as we go in this journey in life and start to add in these different layers of responsibilities with like motherhood and being a wife, and if we want to pursue our education or these ambitions that we have. I feel like we start to, because of the weight of those responsibilities, and many of us have to carry that weight for a long time by ourselves, we start to lose focus on what it is that we're supposed to be doing. I want to be that bridge that kind of reminds that person, no, this is where you need to be, and you can still serve in this capacity as a wife, a mother, a friend, whatever, and still be able to honor the gifts and talents that you have on the inside of you. And it starts with, this. So while it seems like, oh, it's just a creative hang suite, people are only coming in there to rent out the suite so they can do a brand shoot. No, someone's coming in there because they have a vision for their life, and this is the step that they need to take to get that vision started, or this is the step that they need to take to continue along that path to get them where they need to be. I'm the bridge, or the service that I provide is the bridge, or whatever it is. I am the bridge that's going to help that person get to what they need to be. So it's a necessary step, but I have to make sure that, I'm taking the steps I need to take to be where I need to be in order to fully support that person. And that's what helps keeps me focused, and why I feel like I can't just sit idle and not do anything, because I know that someone's purpose is connected to mine.
That's so good. Tifany, I believe you are living out your ministry and your mission in life. I believe that you are a global girl. You are using your faith and your works to live that courageous life
Mhm.
for which God created you to live. So when I say, what does it mean for girls to go global? What does that mean to you?
For girls to go global, I think it means to just to really truly understand you as a person, because it's not necessarily meaning go global in the sense of I'm touching all these people around the world. It's like each one teach one. Even if you're just able to reach that one person, to me, you've gone global, because that one touch is going to touch that person, and then that person is going to touch another person, and so on and so forth. So that one decision that you make to invest in you, the one decision that you make to identify what your purpose is, to start to walk in it, to start to believe what it is that you're called to do, you are going to affect at least one person, who then is going to go out there and affect the people that are tied to them. So I feel like that would be how you can go global, because we're all connected to each other in some way, and nothing's done without connection.
Mm.
So being able to connect to just that one person is going to broaden your reach beyond what you'll even be aware of, because 9 times out of 10 you won't know how far it's gone, but you have to believe that you walking in the purpose that you have, that is lined up for yourself, is going to help someone do the same thing, and then it's just a domino effect from there.
So good. Oh my goodness. Tifany, this has been such a great conversation. I'm so excited that you decided to join me today. This
Thank you for having me.
I know. Oh my goodness. This has been great. You've dropped so many gems. You shared your story in ways that are heartfelt and that are relatable. And I'm so grateful to have met you online and hope to meet you in the future in person
Yes,
soon.
pull up on
For
me.
sure. I got some ideas for Girl Go Global in 2023. So, and that involves some live podcast interviews and
Yes,
conversations.
there we go.
And I might need you on to join in this conversation because I'm looking forward to having some conversations about with married women. I've been
Oh,
talking
yes.
a lot about with single women. I wrote a book all about my singleness. My journey is not a self-help book, y'all. It is my story. And if you can glean anything, it's not trying to teach you how to get a man, but really just telling my story in ways that help illuminate some things to you. And if you can take something away from it that helps you, sis, by all means do that. But I'm looking forward in 2023 to be talking with some married women about various topics. I'm only 3 years in the game, but I have a circle of friends, married friends around me who I want to have some conversations with about marriage and
Yes, me
young
either.
marriage. Some young marriage people have been married for many, many years. I just want to get multiple perspectives because all of 2020, all of 2021, we've been hearing all about singleness, women,
Yeah,
all these
hot
podcasts.
girl
Let's talk
summer.
about the married women. Let's talk about how to embrace our multi-layered lives as faith-filled married
Married
women.
women.
How
Yes, that's
about that? So
definitely a
I love to
conversation.
have you join on that conversation. And that is a shameless plug, y'all. So stay tuned for the content in 2023. I'm looking forward to those conversations. But today I have had with me Miss Tifany Murphy, the owner of Creative Hang Suite, a multi-use rental space in the DMV. If you need a space to work, meet, collab, or grow your brand, that's the place. She has shared with us how we can use her space. And if you have more creative ideas that make sense for you, by all means, do that. Look her up, book her. How can people connect with you, Tifany?
The best way to get in contact with me is definitely on Instagram at Creative Hang Suite. You can also go to my website, creativehangsuite.com, and get all the information that you need to learn more about the suite and about me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been the Girl Go Global podcast where faith and works are empowered. Step into our power. We are living our courageous life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to go